I guess we shouldn't generalize. The opportunity to bring a wider kind of range of investors into this space is massive, and ETPs and ETFs will be probably the primary access route for them. And I suspect also a lot more corporates that then come in, corporates and potentially other institutional investors who will genuinely look at that total cost of ownership when and compare it to direct investing. So massive opportunity here. We see this as, in part, like I mentioned about crypto leveling up, a bit of a leveling up to give. This is for us is like, in many cases you're investing almost in, especially with the altcoins, like startups, right? This is like technology startups, and this is like almost kind of liquid venture investing in a way. So we're giving people exposure to something that they wouldn't have got probably otherwise, or it would have been very difficult for them to do it.
Boom! Ladies and gentlemen, that was Mr. Duncan Moyer, who of course is the president of 21Shares, which today have announced a Hedera Hashgraph ETP. Don't worry, for those of you that are unfamiliar with ETPs, I will be playing an extended clip of Duncan Moyer actually explaining what they are. Very interesting. We just looked at why, and that opening clip was from our interview that we managed to film with Duncan Moyer. Great guy, great company, 21Shares, doing great things for investors and the overall space. But that clip was taken from an interview we did with him, and we will play a longer clip of him explaining what ETPs are in just a second once we've dealt with the news. But we looked at him explaining why this is a big deal. The majority of money sits with people who are older, and they access markets traditionally through traditional asset or traditional investment products like ETPs, ETN, so on and so forth. And today marks the day that 21Shares, the largest ETP provider, have now enacted and enabled a Hedera Hashgraph ETP. So this is from Duncan Moyer himself, who of course is the president. Very happy to see this come to market. As the leading crypto ETP provider, it's important to make the best technologies available to our broad and growing client base. This is what 21Shares have to say on the matter. The enterprise-grade DLT just entered the ETP market, and 21Shares offer a variety of ETPs, a variety of different blockchains that are, or distributed ledgers that are going after different markets. And I think Hedera is positioning itself for the, I think, inevitability of enterprises having to use and utilize the distributed ledger space like they did with the internet, or they'll get cannibalized by it. And Hedera is there, ready for them. It's fit for purpose, and it's ready to enable this kind of Web3 wave that is upon us. And I think Hedera is going to play a major role in that. It's why it's one of my largest investments. We'll talk about it from a price point of view in just a second. I know people are kind of fed up with some of the price action in the cryptocurrency space, but there's never been a better time to be paying attention to this industry. I truly, truly believe that. My money is where my mouth is. So the enterprise-grade DLT just entered the ETP market. We're proud to launch the 21Shares Hedera ETP HDRA, giving investors exposure to Hedera's energy-efficient, high-speed network backed by global giants like Google and IBM. And of course, if we go over to their website, this is now live. And I'm going to be very interested to see, we'll keep you up to date on this, of course, as we cover Hedera regularly, just what kind of inflows and interest we see here. It's another one that's entering the Hedera ETP race. Eventually, you will see ETFs within, likely offered by 21Shares, America. And that's going to be a big deal, but there's a regulatory hump that we need to get over for that. You know, this was Duncan Moyer. Great guy to follow. We'll leave a link to his Twitter in the description. Actually sort of teasing this a few hours before it was actually announced. And I had a sneaky suspicion that this was coming. What I want to do now is go back to our interview that we did with him and listen to what he had to say more broadly on ETPs and them as a sector, because I think some people don't quite understand this kind of investment vehicle. However, it's a very useful one, certainly for or related to the clip we played at the start. It's a very useful one for kind of more traditional, friendly investors to actually gain access to the cryptocurrency space and a truly transformational technology. Let's dive into what Duncan Moyer had to say in our interview, which we'll leave a link for in the description, on ETPs more broadly?
Let me start with what they are. So they are traditional investment vehicles that offer exposure to some asset. In our case, it's cryptocurrency. So we issue investment products that allow people to get exposure to cryptocurrency, but through the more traditional route. So through their broker, the products are listed on securities exchanges rather than crypto exchanges. So you'll see them in the same place that you see, a bunch of equities. That means that the everyday investor can get access without going through a crypto app, or bringing in some specific crypto service providers. So it's about providing easy access, at a low cost. And one of the kind of big questions I get is, of people is, well, look, I can invest direct. Why should I buy an ETP? And the reality is that most people buying direct don't really truly understand the true cost of their trading. So, right, the spreads that they're trading at, the additional trading costs that are being applied. And you can look at most like centralized apps or exchanges. You might be paying anywhere from 50 bips to even 150 bips each way spreads. We're getting in in a single digit basis points spreads. So in our products, and then you obviously we charge a fee for that. But you got to look at the total cost of ownership. Even for most direct crypto investors, the actual cost would probably be lower going through one of these products. Now, the user experience completely different, right? One of the things I love about kind of the crypto world is I think they've got much stronger focus on user experience than traditional finance. So that's part of the total utility, and you might want to keep all your crypto investments in one place. But it's about easy access and at a low cost. Maybe worth just touching on what ETPs and ETFs and things like that actually are. So ETFs is the easy one because it's an exchange traded fund. So you when you invest into it, you buy almost like a unit of equity in that fund, which then has underlying assets within it. An ETP, while technically a catch-all for all types of exchange traded products, traditionally refers to a debt instrument. So when you buy an ETP, it's like an exchange traded note or an ETC. What you're buying is, in our case, a collateralized debt instrument. So a market maker takes your investment, and then they go and buy equivalent crypto and then deliver it to the custodian for our issuer. And so it's a promise to pay the return of that underlying asset. So the important thing is that these are collateralized products, which means that you can guarantee that you're going to deliver that return to the investor. And then we work with tier one service providers to ensure the safe custody and the appropriate calculation of NAV and things like that.
Certainly thought that was worth sharing. I know some of you kind of the traditional. I think it's a great thing about the cryptocurrency space. Many of you have kind of ended up in the investment arena more broadly through crypto because it's time to start paying attention to all of these things. These things matter, and really they're a way to kind of level up your life, if you will. And everyone should pay attention to markets because they're such an integral part of our world. But some people may not be familiar with ETPs. Duncan Moy did a great explanation there. Like I say, do go and check out Duncan and, of course, 21Shares. They're doing great things for the crypto space, the investment arena, so on and so forth. So this is huge news. I know some of you are a little bit kind of peeved off with the price action in the cryptocurrency space, certainly Hedera. I don't really know why, because literally on the back end of last year, we had a 700% rally for Hedera, which me and literally my entire community and you guys that follow me daily, it totaled out 855% from the low. Now, my average bar was about 8 cents because we've been accumulating throughout this entire period. I thought it was actually going to continue to run here, but it didn't. But that's the way markets go. You deal with things just like life. When they get thrown at you, you roll with the punches. Since then, we've been pulling back to where we broke out from, and your accumulative phase. I believe this is now phase 2. We look at the markets through phase analysis. Markets generally on a bigger time frame move in phases. There's ebb and flows in markets. We try and identify them and have structures or methodology for identifying them. Since you broke out of this on volume, and I believe this is more smart money initiated due to the volume that showed up, we've been pulling back. On declining volume, we've retested. This pullback also has arisen or being conducted in the manner of a falling wedge, which I'm going to show you right now, which we call the falling wedges for a number of things. This falling wedge, I believe, is going to see this entire pullback get engulfed and lead to us embarking on higher ground, just like what we've seen with Bitcoin. And of course, we called that, as many of you know, and that aligns with more broadly where we're at. And I think what I want to do is sort of talk about the emotions that people are feeling right now. It's very much that denial phase for the markets if we refer to the Wall Street cheat sheet. And actually, this reminds me of Bitcoin back in 2020, which of course I lived through. I think the emotions are very similar and present. And look at the Bitcoin in 2020 chart and Hedera today, and we all know what followed. I mean, we can back that up not just through the Hedera chart and looking at the kind of market structure, talking about fundamentally what's coming, but also through sort of cross-market analysis and referencing. So hang in there, guys. Brighter days are ahead of us. That's really it from me. I'm going to love and leave each and every one of you. You guys know I love talking to you. Thank you very much, everyone, for all the support this channel receives. We're one of the few channels that's growing exponentially during this time period where there's a real lack of interest. But that lack of interest is an amazing thing because we're positioned for the masses to arrive and before they arrive and pump our bags. That's it from me, guys. I'm going to love and leave you. See you all in the next one.